True or false? True or false? Phil, Conservatives overtook Labour this week. True or false in the polling?
I'm going to say if you're going to... I know it's been reported that it is true, so I'll just have to say true.
Okay. Madge?
I'll go false, but this is a trick question.
Is it?
Yeah, because it's which polls and stuff like that.
I said YouGov. I went with YouGov in the end because Phil wanted the specifics.
What date is it?
This week.
Have they brought one out this week?
Don't know.
Latest
question territory. This is rigged.
Max?
I would say it's true, but in a limited and specific way.
You're all correct. It's true. YouGov polling, the latest YouGov poll, showed that it had gone up 1% over Labour, 19. And yes, you are right, Phil. On average, it seemed to be mixed. Some are saying 18% as well. So they were on par. The more concerning thing is the fact that the Conservatives seem to have a bit of a surge happening right now.
Because
I don't mind
very
that.
Short memories.
No, I don't mind that because that's what's necessary in order to reduce. I mean, the way to think about it is most of the Reform UK support has come from the Conservatives. So the Conservatives surge, it can take stuff off Reform UK. Obviously, Labour are losing it all over the place. But even if Labour sort themselves out and start climbing again, it's a psychological thing. Labour need to be in the polling lead. Obviously, being third place is the opposite of that. But if they can get themselves improving again, they sort of need the Conservatives to as well to properly split the vote. They'd ideally have the right-wing vote split 50-50.
Yes, that would be a monumental Christmas gift. That would be a very good Christmas
surging a bit. What I mind is that Labour are still shit at communicating and talking to people.
Which we've been saying for 5 fucking years, and they don't listen.
No, they were all right a few years ago. They went a bit iffy in like 2023.
Which leader? Miliband?
Which
leader had good comms?
Starmer was all right. He had a good 2 years where the campaigning was on point, and then halfway through 2023, they all panicked. Or they moved some. I think actually now I'm looking back at it, I think they moved some people around to different positions.
McSweeney, Glassman.
Well, I mean, McSweeney was absolutely fine where he was, but maybe they moved him somewhere where he was not fine. He's not fine in his current position. He's a political idiot. Which wouldn't be as big a problem because you don't need to be a top politician to be chief of staff anyway, Christ's sake. But it's the fact that Starmer knows he's a political imbecile, so then he relies on the advice of someone he thinks was a political genius, which unfortunately happened to be McSweeney.
It's not good.
No.
Madge, in latest polling, it is showing Reform is declining. True or false?
True.
I would say true because I've seen a few polls that point in that direction.
You surprised by it? If it's true.
No, I don't think it's true. I'm not surprised because they have peaked somewhat. And it looks like the Tories are winning back some support from people who've looked at Reform and said, I'm not really happy with that. And a lot of the trash is going to Reform as well from the Conservatives. So maybe they're presenting themselves as
trash? What trash do you mean?
Jonathan Gulles and okay.
Oh, God, they took him on board. It's like, wow, you are so desperate. Phil, is it true or false? Reform have been declined.
I mean, if you mean over a period of time, then it is true.
It is true. They have been on decline more recently. They seem to have reached their peak somewhere between 31 and 35%.
Max, in fairness, maybe Gullis can teach Reform a few things because they won't let him teach in the classroom anymore.
No. I mean, I still can't believe that an actual Conservative, because, if you sort of say you're struggling or you're struggling to find work, the Conservative attitude to that is you're just lazy. So the fact that you had this Conservative whining for 6 months that he couldn't get a job, I just thought, this is
pretty
unbelievable.
Pathetic.
You're actually parading your ineptitude.
But also, it's a problem for the Conservatives because they keep telling people who are on benefits or whatever, there are jobs out there. Go and do a job.
Yeah.
But one of their own guys couldn't get a job.
Field. Yeah, Conservative working in the farmer's field. That would have been quite satisfying. Living in a tent.
Could have got a job in soda.
Lee Anderson's wet dream.
Farming beans.
Max, the UK is still short by 4 million homes. True or false? The required number of homes it needs is short by 4 million. True or false?
I would say, well, true that it's short of a lot of homes, but I think 4 million is probably too big of a number. But it could be surprising. So I'd say false.
You're going to say false?
Yeah.
Phil?
So I'm wary of the fact they've been true so far, would you or false, but I'm going to say true on the basis that there's an aim to build 1.5 million in 5 years. Whether they make it or not is another matter. And yet, nonetheless, people will say this is still far short of what we really need. So 4 million maybe sounds about right.
And Madge?
What's the question, sorry? I was looking at something that was related to what we were discussing.
You need a lesson with Gullis. That's what you fucking need.
Wait.
You got three teachers here.
What I did see is why Reform are probably going to struggle in the polls, which is the town I live in. They scrapped the free parking. They've got rid of disabled free parking spaces, and they put the council tax up by. Yeah,
they have not.
And they're putting the council tax up by like 5%, or I think it's 4.99 because the limit.
They got disabled parking where? Like town centres?
It'd be out in the town centre, yeah.
Why did you do that?
Because they hate disabled people. This is the whole gambit, isn't it? This is why we keep calling them Nazis. They hate foreigners, they hate migrants, they hate disabled.
And this is the reason why they're going to struggle. They're going to struggle in a couple of years because people will notice this shit. People hate council tax.
Fuck them. Fucking shit.
Given how good my contribution was, what was the question?
I don't even know now. The UK is still short of 4 million homes. True or false?
True. Yeah, you ain't buying a house for shit.
It is true. We're still short of 4 million homes, according to Crisis. Okay, last question. Phil. Boris Johnson is more hated than Nigel Farage. True or false? Oh, it's a tough one.
It's difficult to say. I'll say false. I probably don't think he is.
Madge?
I'll go false. Isn't that phrase, absence makes the heart grow fonder or some nonsense? And he's been absent for a while.
Donald Trump did it. His polling's completely tanked as well.
That guy who said inject bleach, yeah, bring that guy back. We ain't seen him for a while.
Max?
I'd say, so it's if Johnson is less popular more hated. I would say false. I think Farage is much more hated.
Well done, guys. Yeah, you guys nailed it this week. Well done. Yeah, he's more hated. Sorry, Farage is more hated than Boris.
Yeah, the more people know about Farage, the less they like him.
Yeah,
the racism.
There's all sorts on it. There's absolutely all sorts. There's the racism from his school days, but also within his party. I mean, he might not have gone around like saying Hitler was right recently, but it just keeps they're constantly having to get rid of people or defend people from abject racism in the party.
But they have a vetting process. Remember, they had a vetting process.
Yeah, it's like the guy who does security checks. He'll like check, goes like this. And then
was Nathan Gill in charge of that batting process?
And yes, there's the Russian links as well. It's all right, it's literally the case. You can now look at what Nathan Gill said for money and go, Nigel Farage said a lot of that as well, didn't he? Did he do it for money? Did he do it for free?
Let's go into that. Okay, let's start the show. Welcome everyone to the Sunday Roast. Welcome Phil, welcome Max, welcome Madge. Do we need to do introductions or shall we just go straight into the fact that Reform are really fucking dodgy and they might have reached their peak? Okay, let's just get straight into it. Then we don't need any introductions this week. What are your thoughts then? Have Reform peaked? Is it down to Russia and the damage that Russia's caused?
I remember there was a a focus group interviewed by Channel 4 or Times Radio. I don't remember which outlet, but they asked people about different things related to Farage. And when it came to taking money from foreign entities like Russia, whatever, this was really unpopular with the focus group. When it came to the racism, it was really unpopular with the focus group. So I think also climate change. The focus group wanted politicians to do more on climate change, and of course Farage is not supportive of that. So the general public is very different to what you hear, the media say. So while the media will say immigration is a priority for everyone, if you actually interview people on the street, as you have done in the past, you get a different response. And the focus groups point to something different. So, but it was interesting from these focus groups, they constantly focused on the negativity of Farage, like connections to Russia, money from Russia. This is something that was really damaging Farage. When it came to immigration, that was his trump card, no pun intended. But
I almost felt like a Christmas dad joke.
but the more people know about reform, and they've been running a few councils or at least one in particular, Kent, into the ground recently. It's the more people know about them, the less they like Farage and reform. And I think it's just going to get worse for them. So I think they've probably peaked. We may see a few polls going forward that paint a more positive light of them for them. But I think it's a slow car crash at the moment.
Do you think he did it a little bit too early, basically, or do you think?
Yeah. I think he would. We're getting more and more information out about Farage and the incompetence now, which I think if it had come later on towards the end of the parliament, they would have been in a better position. But there's a lot of enthusiasm for the party still, but the election is at least 3 years away. So I don't know what they're going to do between now and then. I don't know how they're going to maintain any sort of momentum.
Well, I don't know what to make of it, but there was a Jeremy Vine episode this week where a lady rang up, and it was between Andrea Jenkins and Zach Plansky. Like they're having a sort of face-off. And she claims she because obviously there's only a limited amount of whether or not you're going to know it's true, but she claimed that she was an Indian woman, British Indian, and she had been living in the UK all her life. And they were the Jeremy Vine was asking, who would you vote for, Plansky or Farage? And she said, I'm going to vote Farage because I don't think his policies are that bad.
Oh, Farage, of course.
Yay! You will choose Farage. Into the box he goes. Here we go.
Absolutely. Because Zach Polanski lost me at trans women, his views on trans women. So we'll just forget about him. Yeah. Even though I have to say that even though I vote for Farage, I don't particularly like him. But I would vote for his party. He has not exactly excelled at dealing with the problem that's occurred in the last couple of weeks. Instead of standing up and being a man and saying, mea culpa,
You're talking about his alleged racist comments at school?
Yes, and I believe he is. I do believe that he is a racist. And by the way, I'm Indian.
But you just voted for him.
Yes, I would do, because there are so many people who have these views, and I don't care as long as sticks and stones, as they say, as long as it doesn't affect me, as long as it helps the country. He's a pragmatic man as well. He realizes that he has to accept that there are people of color in this country, and we're here to stay. And so he accepts it. So, yeah. Okay. I mean, any man, let's be honest, any man who says that his hero is, what is
Enoch Powell.
Enoch Powell, who's his hero, it says it all.
And then Jeremy Vine sort of repeated back to her what she'd said, not just that he didn't think it was that bad, or the racism wasn't the problem, or that, his policies were okay for her. And the clincher argument, which Jeremy Vine repeated back to her, was, it won't affect me if he gets into power. And I'm just like, are you nuts? Are you listening to what people are saying that he said as a kid? Have you listened to I've done a video with 26 minutes long of Farage saying racist comments. But apparently she thinks she's not going to be affected by it. He's talking about ICE and deporting people. Kemi Badenoch has then said the same thing this week. And yet this lady who claimed this background saying she's going to vote for him, but she put in the caveat as well at the end when Vine repeated back all the statements describing herself and how she was going to vote. I don't want you to describe me as an idiot because the way you made that sound made me sound like an idiot.
Let me just summarize here. You've just said you are a person of colour.
Yes.
Okay. And you've just said Nigel Farage is a racist, and now you voted for him.
Yes, I will do because. Sorry, I don't know why you're saying it in that way.
No. I just wanted to make sure I hadn't misunderstood. That's all. Because it was.
You're making me seem like I'm an idiot. What I'm trying to say is, people will have racist views. I don't care as long as they don't act on them. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. No.
I mean, really, there's two things to think about with this, like mathematically. The first is that we know from polling that why Reform are stable in the polls at the moment is because, as you've described, a lot of their policies are actually deeply unpopular. Their opposal of workers' rights, even most of their voters are in favour of that. Climate change, the racism thing, the other character flaws, the dodginess. But ultimately, it's just like in America. Their focus is on things like the cost of living and the NHS. They've seen the Conservatives trash that. They're not seeing Labour improving it. So they're quite happy to believe that Labour are not improving it. So they're going for, and there's now, it always used to be the case, it was either Labour or the Conservatives. So pragmatic voters go, it's got to be one of them. Whereas now they're going, there's actually a viable third option here that's not been tested. So a lot of Reform UK's popularity comes from that. It literally, and in a situation like that, they will ignore all sorts of character flaws if they think that they personally will do all right out of it. It's
like
really
with Trump.
that simple. But the other thing to remember is this: it's like a moving chessboard in that. Whether Reform stay where they are in the polls or go down or go up isn't necessarily tied to their own performance. It's also tied to other people's performance, because people who are going to vote for someone, and the vote is now so fragmented that, if one party suddenly does better, it automatically makes another party do worse, even if they, Reform UK could actually massively step up their campaign in 2026 with that 9 million quid from a foreign donor. And yet they could still fall in the polls if other parties start to get their messages out more clearly as well. Or they could end up, with more and more scandals being heaped on Farage and still go up in the polls if others keep making asses of themselves. Like next year, there's all sorts of things that could actually help. There's lots of headwinds coming their way. There's lots of things that can trip Reform UK up, but there's lots of things that can help them as well. If they get rid of Starmer, that's going to create chaos in the government, chaos within Labour. That inevitably helps Reform UK. It helps Reform UK more than the Conservatives, because the Conservatives are not going to win the next election. No one seriously believes they can win the next election. People now think it's between Labour and Reform UK. So if Labour decide to engage in a little bit of self-destruction, which at this point I won't blame them for, because again, Starmer's just like the architect of his own downfall. But nonetheless, that's going to help Reform UK. Whereas if they don't, and they're able to better focus on the scandals surrounding Reform UK, it could be the other way around. So all of these things, and then there's also other parties in the mix as well. The Lib Dems tend to have a hyper-local focus there, so that's not going to make a huge amount of difference. But the Green Party now openly a populist party, so they're trying to court social media and they're trying to get a message out. And because they're literally with populism, because they're now saying exciting things, controversial things, well, they're getting themselves into the media a bit more as well. So all of these things are in the mix. So, how Reform UK do next year only has so much to do with how Reform UK are doing. It also has to do with how everyone else is doing.
I wonder, because obviously we were talking in the True and False round about Kemi Badenoch making a bit of research, and it's interesting she started bringing out policies. And it just seems like you've got this dogma group that will not change. It's completely tribal. And, they had 14 years of Conservatives. It was total chaos, totally insane leadership. And they're still going, I'm going to continue voting Conservative. It's like, what is it actually going to take?
Some people are just right wing. What are their options? If you are right wing, your options are the Conservatives or Reform UK. And you might reasonably suppose that Reform UK are not serious people. So you are going to vote Conservative. That is just what you're going to do. if you are right wing, you are going to, there will be some tribal behavior in there as well. But if you are right wing, what is your option?
UKIP.
Oh, they're dead, man. We don't talk about them. They fall under the other category. They're not even a real party.
At the same time, though, I would, look at it and think, what is actually at the moment in terms of policy the difference between the Conservative Party and Reform UK now? There's not many, because Kemi Badenoch was actually presenting a difference on several key issues, and they've been washed away now. I'm trying to actually think of some major policy areas. There's minor ones.
I think she's been hesitant. Major policy area
where there's difference.
She's been hesitant though, hasn't she? Because she's just playing the game. Yeah, because she don't believe in it. 2 years. Let things calm down.
It's a classic case of, she'll just do whatever's necessary to shore her position up and maybe get her party. I mean, she'll be hoping Reform UK collapse so that she can then pole vault over them and then maybe have a crack at the next election. But it's almost at the moment like it's just like there's seen as there's this right wing offer which has to be aligned with Trump. I think it's more. I think Badenoch is more aligning with Trump than Farage. That's how I see it.
I wondered if they were going to really shoot themselves in the foot by going with Trump over the BBC. Seems like on social media, at least, they got a lot of pushback over that, being like, "You're backing an American." Versus the BBC, which is our institution and owned by the taxpayer. Are you crazy?
I think for the problem for the Tories is it's all tactical. There's nothing strategic. It's all about, okay, how can we win over some support today? And they think that, well, let's hitch our wagon to Trump because he's taking on the BBC. And we think, if we look at social media, we think everyone on social media hates the BBC. So we think we can win it. Like, I don't know what Kemi Badenoch has said officially, but I've seen a number of Tory MPs come out and say, yeah, Trump is right and the BBC needs to be defunded. And it's quite shocking when you think about it from a Conservative saying this. It's expected from Reform. But it seems that they're all just looking for something to latch onto for the here and now, but there's no long-term strategy. It's all just because they don't know what the hell's going to happen in a few years' time. And also when Trump is out of office, we won't be talking about.
If there was an element with the long-term strategy with the Conservatives, just to keep your mouth shut and let things calm down, because people will really,
they can't do that. Really, they can't do that because if you don't speak, somebody else will fill the gap, and Reform are filling that gap.
Because I don't disagree that Reform have filled the gap. But Reform have foot and mouth disease, and they look more and more incompetent. So I'm slightly going, maybe there's an element of strategy, just like to let things die down and calm down, and then start rebuilding and coming towards a policy platform. Because I think Reform have peaked so quickly that they can only go down. Like, I think it's 51% of the population would not vote Reform or Farage, which is huge. And I don't get how they go. I'm just going to bring in Madge, because Madge hasn't said much about the peak of Reform, and I'll bring you in, Phil, I promise. I can see you're keen.
With the peak of Reform, I think with them dealing with the councils really badly, that's going to be the real test of it. The other issue they've got is that the media are asking Farage different kinds of questions. They're not going, well, immigration's really high. What do you think, Nigel? Now it's, why were you racist at school? What's going on with these councils over here? That kind of stuff. So I think the media game's kind of changed a little bit, because now they have other stuff to ask him. And stuff he does have charge over. The stuff going on in Kent is pretty bizarre. With the BBC thing, I think there's a lot more hatred of the BBC or dislike of the BBC than we realise, especially with them. Like, that edit of Trump was bizarre. I don't know who did that or why. The idea the BBC has a left-wing bias is nonsense when they say Boris Johnson over the reef thing a couple of years ago. Like, he looked like a complete mess, but they used some old footage where he didn't look like a complete mess, just a slight mess. So I think the BBC are they won't get as much support from the public, I think. And most people don't really care for it. I don't think that much. So Kemi Badenoch's kind of jumping on.
You don't think? No. You think it's lost that element of magic that it had?
I mean, it's not as good as it was. It's not as good as it was a couple of decades ago. And even then, people moved on to streaming. People moved on to other things.
Are you telling me that Doctor Who is just not what it used to be?
No. It's been mid since Capaldi went. It's been terrible since Capaldi went. So yeah. So honestly, I don't see it as being anywhere near as the prestige. I think a lot of it's gone. The level of journalism is shocking at times. So no one really cares.
Yeah, Laura Kunsberg. I mean, is she still even running? Is she?
Yeah, she's still there. Yeah,
she's still doing the Sunday morning program. They haven't got rid of it.
Yeah, her show's terrible.
Wow, and they got rid of Gary Lineker. They kept her, got rid of Gary Lineker.
But that's what I mean.
So fucking stupid.
That's what I mean. He's got his own podcast. He's doing really well as well. Like outside, like he didn't really need the BBC. He didn't need that program.
Well,
But
this,
yeah,
I mean,
I don't know, man. I think the Reform are peaking. I mean, the BBC don't have as much support as they think they do. On the Tory thing with Badenoch, like she was talking about how she's anti-net zero, how she's going to continue, the UK's going to continue making petrol cars when she was part of a government that was there going to get rid of petrol cars, like manufacturing of them. She went to, I think, a race circuit in high heels, and someone made a joke about that. I'm just like, you're kind of a mess, pal. Like she'll jump on anything because she has to stay relevant. Like Max said, she has to stay relevant because who's going to interview someone who's got nothing to say? She gets on media appearances because she's leader of opposition. That's about it. If she wasn't leader of the opposition, who would interview her? No one, because she's boring.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think that is her one saving grace. Go on, Phil. You wanted to? I can see you wanted to
probably
jump
to
in.
what Madge said about Gary Lineker doing well, and I've said this before as well. I mean, one of the really good things about social media to counter all the shit is the fact that if you are a decent broadcaster, you can make it on your own. You don't need the television things anymore. So so the likes of Darren Grimes, for example, he tried to go it alone. Well, he was forced to. Oh, apparently he quit, but he didn't quit. And it was shit. He tried it. He actually tried doing his own stuff. Oh, I'm unleashed now. That means I can do my own thing independently. And it's like, no one's watching, mate. Whereas if you know what you're doing, if you're any good, you can just do it on your own. You do not need. That's why I sort of said when Mike Graham? I always get him mixed up with the other one. But Mike Graham, when he was sacked off LBC, I said it needn't matter because
Talk TV, Mike Graham.
If he's
concrete, Mike Graham.
Yeah, talk TV.
Morning, Mike.
Oh, hello. What are you glued to, Cameron?
Just your screen, unfortunately.
Unfortunately. What do you do for a living, Cameron?
I'm a carpenter.
A carpenter, right. So how safe is that for the climate?
Well, I work with timber, which is a much more sustainable material rather than concrete. I also.
But you work with trees that have been cut down then, don't you?
It's a sustainable building practice.
How is it sustainable if you're killing trees?
Because it's regenerative, you can grow trees.
Right. Well, you can grow all sorts of things, can't you?
Well, you can't grow concrete.
You can. See you, Cameron. Cheerio. That was Cameron. He grows trees and then cuts them down and then makes things from them. Brilliant. Marvellous.
If he was, because he got sacked, and if it was a case of, he needed them more than they needed him, he would just go into obscurity. We'll see what happens to him. But if he's a decently skilled broadcaster, he'll just make it on social media. He'll do what Dan Wootton did, do his own thing, and he'll be fine. But the other point I was going to make is there was some really interesting polling a couple of months ago that was asking people specifically. So if you're in, say, a Labour reform thing or this or that, certain combinations in your constituency, how would you vote? And what you found was there's a lot of people who would vote tactically against Reform UK, including a healthy number of Conservatives. But yeah, so for example, Labour voters would vote whoever against, including the Conservatives, against Reform UK. Lib Dems would do so as well in large numbers. The Green Party in less large numbers because they're more of an extreme party. But nonetheless, when you add it all up, I went through that MRP poll from September, which is the latest one, but we shouldn't even have any at this point in the election cycle, but we had one in September. And I put these polling results in. Now, some of them say they would tactically vote for Reform UK. So I put all it in. And it did actually change the seats fairly dramatically. Not necessarily flipping it completely all the way around. You can't go from Labour's polling now to suddenly still winning a majority if it's staying like it is now. But, but nonetheless, this just shows you it's Reform UK are technically the most popular party right now, but they are also by far and away the most unpopular party as well. And there's a lot of people will vote tactically against them. So the key will be, first of all, things actually getting better so that people think more kindly of Labour, but also making sure people know who the contest is between. Because it's one thing saying, oh, yeah, if it's between Labour and Reform UK, I would vote Labour. It's another thing knowing that it's between those two in your constituency. You think?
I think there's another like bit of Christmas hope within that with the tactical voting system and movement forward. Like I'm quite hopeful about that. I think there's a lot of scope, and as you said, there's so much hatred towards it and their party. People would like hold their nose and just go, well, I'm conservative, but Lib Dems are the ones likely to get in. I'm just going to vote for them because I cannot have a reform candidate in power. Go on, Max.
No, I wanted to say, because it's important to differentiate between what happened in 2024 and what will happen in 2028 or 29, because one is you're voting to keep the incumbent in power, and the other was in 2024 voting tactically to kick the Tories out. So there was a lot of support for, people are angry with the Tories, let's get rid of them. So people will vote tactically. I think it's more difficult. I think there will be a lot of tactical voting, but I think it'll be more difficult to convince people, no, stick with Labour. Because reform are a disaster, because they will be tested at the local level, but they won't really be tested at the national. And people, I fear a lot of people will give them the benefit of the doubt. And while the tactical voting will work in certain areas, I think there is a real risk that if Labour do not improve the situation for ordinary people, that they will give them a bloody nose.
Oh, yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, it's always more difficult to persuade people to vote tactically to keep a government in than to change it. And Labour will have to make people feel that things are getting better, certainly. I mean, and they know that. They know that they have no game if they don't do that.
It scares me a little bit, though, because obviously like that little thing of you're the incumbent, so you get a key to power. And the guy who wrote the book, The Keys to Power, obviously got completely flummoxed because he was predicting the Democrats were going to win and Kamala Harris was going to win. And he was...
I don't know on what basis.
Are you not... What's that?
I don't know on what basis they did. It was, I mean, the Democrat campaign, first of all, the polls were always very tight throughout the entire campaign.
Yeah.
Secondly, they changed horses far too late. So there was no time to build up a decent campaign. And thirdly, I mean, I even saw polling during the campaign that sort of said, when they were asking, here's some statements from Trump and Harris, which ones, all the more positive ones they thought Trump was saying. So the people at the time had this attitude that it was Donald Trump who was talking about the things that mattered to them, even when sometimes it was a Kamala Harris statement. They just associated her with the don't vote for Trump, is a fucking monster. And they thought of Trump as the I'm going to make eggs cheaper, mate. Stick with me.
They're kicking themselves now, though, aren't they?
Yeah.
Everyone.
Farmers are too stupid for words, because first of all, he's doing exactly what he did the first time round. Second of all, he actually promised the trade wars. He promised them during his campaign, and they still voted for him.
Sorry, didn't Del Monte close recently as a result of tariffs?
Are you joking? The man from Del Monte advert, Del Monte.
Yeah,
Wow.
I think so.
Because of the tariffs?
I think so, yeah.
He's got rid of tariffs on food and drink, though, like 100 food and drink items.
But I think it's too late at this stage.
Well, it might well be, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, he's lost the midterms. There's no doubt about that. Candace Owens was quite funny in the podcaster because she was saying the midterms don't matter. Madge, you said in the last show, well, maybe he'll just push everything through by executive order.
Yeah. Well,
Congress are just going to railroad him. That's what's going to happen if the Democrats win.
Trump had basically almost planned to lose the midterms from the moment he came in, because they were in such a rush, and it was quite obvious to me they were in a massive rush because they didn't think to themselves they got 4 years, they had 2 years. Because, it will be important if the House can get flipped at least, it will be important. But what does it ultimately do? It just stops Trump passing legislation.
It means they can impeach him, though. If both houses...
It's not, no.
Oh, no, 60%, isn't it?
Yeah, you need
Senate.
more than that. Yeah,
they're not going to get that.
It's not going to happen.
No.
Well, if Trump leaves office partway through the term, it's because his brain has impeached him.
Well, do you think there's something wrong with him this year? Have we got another Christmas miracle?
If experts are saying he's significantly, I would say two things. First of all, psychiatrists have actually said you don't even have to examine it. It's quite obvious the decline is there.
Yeah.
But secondly, I did a video on this. I just thought about that statement about Rob Reiner, which really just shocked even the MAGA base. And I just thought to myself, see, Donald Trump, he's not the smartest, but he's in tune with like the politics. He knows what to say to unite the base and so on. And this was so far out there. And I'm thinking, so he massively messed up there. He messed up. That shows a lack of touch that he hasn't actually exhibited before. And I think maybe that's part of his cognitive decline.
But it
maybe
makes you wonder,
more confused.
he made it all up. None of it was true.
Of course, none of it's true.
Like, so where did you get it from? Like,
because his sources, he made it the fuck up. There you go.
He just shouts. He's just a rabid dog.
Yeah, but there was, to be fair, he's made up so much crap, hasn't he? I mean, the Obama thing.
The question is, what has he said that's true? That's where you got to start from. What has he said that is true?
Oh,
you know, when he said
he
shoot up Lysol.
He said recently at the press conference yesterday, I think it was, he was saying how all of the net jobs under Biden went to foreigners and all of the net jobs under him went to American citizens. 100%.
Oh my God.
Like if he had said like the majority or something like that, he could sort of get away with it. But the lies are so blatant, are so ridiculous that like, is there anyone who still believes them? Even his base. Like it's so far out there.
They never believed him though, but they knew he would do certain things that they would like deporting people, tightening abortion rules and all that kind of stuff. That's what they wanted. They didn't care about much else.
Well, they're regretting it now, aren't they? I mean, I think this is what you were slightly alluding to, Phil. And I think, Madge, you brought this up. I think you, a few weeks back, pointed out to someone who'd come over the US border from Mexico, who had then started saying he didn't want any more foreigners coming in.
Yeah, there was a guy who said, "There's no more. We don't want any more Mexicans. There's too many." And I'm like, "Come on, man.
What the fuck are you talking? Where the fuck is this coming from? This is just it's pulling up the drawbridge."
It's I have my thing. It's I'm all right, Jack. It's that mentality.
Exactly. I'm all right, Jack. Fuck you.
Yeah.
Suella Braverman or someone.
Oh my God, yeah.
The Shabbat Mahmood thing, Pretty Patel. Yeah, it's all of them ones.
But then, I mean, the Labour, Shabbat
Mahmood. Shabba. That makes it easier for you to remember.
she's pretty much I can't see any difference between her and Braverman and Pretty Patel.
Height is maybe a bit different. She's quite short.
I'm talking about policy.
Well, you said you can see a difference. You know, you didn't make it clear what kind of difference.
I'm making it fucking clear now. I don't see much of a difference in their policies and their attitudes. Like, the language is horrific. It might be a bit milder than Braverman and Patel, but what's the
I think the role of the Home Secretary now today is just, I hate immigrants.
The Home Secretary now pretty much is basically immigration. They might as well. In fact, there's people that have actually said you should, just from a practical point of view anyway, split up the Home Office into policing and immigration anyway. Have because you don't really need them to be the same department.
I've got to admit, we did have a laugh at the trolling that Reform did, but it was even wilder when Tommy Robinson started shouting from the rooftop that he'd won by having those policies put out by Labour.
Yeah.
Like, fucking hell. What a shit. You're laughing, Max. You don't live here, so...
I think he's got his own anti-immigration government to do.
Yeah, Maloney's in again. She goes, "Hey, what's the matter with you, Max? Why you not hate the immigrant?"
Buddy bitty boo.
Are we heading into that Peter Griffin moment?
Yes.
Wow, all this stuff looks pretty good. Can we get some salami and...
Brian, let me handle this. Scusi, babidi-boopy? Che cosa?
Peter, what are you doing?
Speaking Italian. Babidi-boopy? Babidi-boopity-babidi-babidi.
Peter, you can't speak Italian just because you have a mustache.
Boopity-bapa. Boop-a-beep-boop-a-bapa-beep-a-bapa.
Tu sei un pazzo, va via da qui! Sono stanco di te, ti do un pugno nella testa! Ti uccido con questa carne!
I've got a funny feeling he's going to lose the midterms and he's going to go really off the rails. He's not going to be able to process it. And it's interesting.
On the rails?
I think it'll get worse. I think it can get. I mean, he's literally made up stuff that doesn't exist, and it just makes you go, Did someone tell him to say that, or has he just completely lost the plot?
It's known for years. Like back in his first term, he will actually sit on the bog for a couple of hours tweeting, and now obviously he's got his Truth Social. The same thing though. He does it himself.
But wasn't it on 11th of September when the Twin Towers were coming down? He was interviewed on TV and he was saying, "Hey, look, Now my building is the tallest in New York.
Yeah.
You have one of the landmark buildings down in the financial district, 40 Wall Street. Did you have any damage, or did you know what's happened down there?
Well, it was an amazing phone call I made. 40 Wall Street actually was the second tallest building in downtown Manhattan, and it was actually, before the World Trade Center, was the tallest. And then when they built the World Trade Center, it became known as the second tallest, and now it's the tallest.
Yes,
I think that is
so it's not new, this sort of stuff.
No.
It's
So
like
something felt really random and odd about that, though. Like, I could get, like, if he's going to be making up stuff, it's normally about opponents. Rob Reiner wasn't an opponent, to my knowledge. He was just some random guy to Trump who died, who Trump then just decided to attack for no reason. And then if you look at what he did with the journalists, this year he's called one a piggy, and then and the other one, was he just called stupid?
The thing is, though, he has like done that all the time. You know, he called one of his own supporters fat, told him to go home where he lives with his mum in his mum's basement or some nonsense. That was before he won in 2016, I think. So the guy's always been with insults. I mean, he took the piss out of, what did he say? Tiny Hands Rubio, lying Ted. His dad was a Zodiac killer.
But again, that's
he's
someone
lost his creativity. He's lost his creativity.
That's someone he's combating.
Yeah,
like I can get even the guy, the mayor of New York, who he had a scuff with, who then invited into the White House. That was bizarre. That he'd gone from how much he hated him
do you know what was best
to
about
come
that?
and take a photo op with me in the White House.
Well, better than that, when Zoran Mamdani actually got Donald Trump to pose with him thumbs up in front of the picture of Roosevelt, who's like the most socialist president they've ever had.
The thing
that
is,
was some
once
top
you win,
trolling there.
Once you win, people have to discuss stuff with you. That's all it is. Like, you know, like, it doesn't matter how bad a politician you are. Once you win, you know, like,
I actually think it's a different thing. I think it was Trump wanted the attention. It was about, look, this guy is flavor of the month. I want to be next to him. So people like him, like Mandami. I want to be next to him. And I think it's the same way with some of the other world leaders. It's, I love Putin because Putin is popular in his country.
80% or some nonsense. Yeah.
The soldiers make sure that you tick the right box.
Kim Jong-un, most handsome man in North Korea as well. They got a picture together, didn't they? So yeah, that makes sense.
Who came second?
No one. Kim Jong-un took all the medalist spots. He took all three.
Yeah, when it takes all. When it takes everything. God, I shouldn't laugh. It was awful. Hey, I mean, we're talking about these pluses this year, and obviously there's a theme about populism and it crashing. Trump looks like he's crashing, and I don't think he'll recover. I think he's done, because as soon as he loses Congress, he will have problems galore, and there will be nothing you can do about it. And you can say he can pass executive orders, fine, but then he's got a massive stonewall against that, which is Congress. I mean, he'll still have the Supreme Court on side to an extent, but even they are completely going with him.
The problem is funding. Like, if he can issue his executive orders, but if it comes to funding those things, Congress will say, we're not paying for that.
Yeah,
so it's one thing for him to say, yeah, well, we're going to do X, Y, and Z, but if Congress say no, that's it.
He's sieging Venezuela right now. There was no congressional approval for that. Like, you know, he can go around the country and say, look, we're going to park all our ships to do something.
Who wants to make a bet he'll do it on Friday when the Epstein files come out?
Well, are they going to come out? We've still got to see. They're supposed to come out. It's an
early Christmas present. What's the bet that he's going to invade Venezuela like troops on the ground? What's the
well, I don't know, because but you say that though. I mean, it looks like it. Yeah, it absolutely looks like he's getting ready to do it. But are the MAGA base going to stay quiet then? They were grumbling enough when he bombed Iran for one night.
Yeah.
Like, that's
but then they returned.
Baffling thing to me. Like, it's supposed to be this no more foreign wars. He talks about all these wars he stopped. He hasn't stopped any. Some of them are still going on, bizarrely.
I'll give him the benefit of the doubt with the Congo and
they're still going on.
No. That's the M23. That's a terrorist group, but apparently he's in negotiations with them now. I'm not saying it's great. I'm not saying it's done.
The only one I think that is definitively over.
I don't want to give him the benefit of the doubt. I think he's a horrible person, but if he's got a peace agreement between two nations, he's now trying to calm down the terrorist group. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt on that one. I agree with the rest, though. I don't think he's done
India and Pakistan have stopped fighting, and maybe America's involvement helps. I don't know. But that's the only one where the conflict has actually stopped. Some of it's still raging. Thailand and Cambodia is still going mad.
Yeah.
You know, Israel and Gaza are still going, they're still bombing the shit out of people.
I think he claimed India and Pakistan, and then Pakistan said he had nothing to do with
no,
it.
Pakistan gave him the credit. It was India that said.
Oh, it was India that said it.
I know. Pakistan were more than happy. They said it even. They cite him for the Nobel Peace Prize, no problem at all, because they want to get on his good side. But yeah, the only foreign policy success really for Trump, I would have said, was, with Syria, it's like that's looking a bit more hopeful. He hasn't instantly taken a dislike to them. He's sort of supporting Syria a little bit. That's the only thing I can sort of give him. The only other thing I would say on foreign affairs is when we're talking about some things that Trump said that's true, which is that Europe has depended too much on America for defense and security. And it's now biting us on the ass.
That's but they did it because they didn't do it out of the nicest of their heart.
I know they didn't.
They did it because they're us.
But we let them. And the thing is, as well,
we had a choice.
No,
you had
10 years ago
on your border at that point.
10 years,
all right.
10 years ago, China worked out that it might have a trade war with America in the future, and they started diversifying markets. They started doing loads of stuff to be able to weather the storm. And 9 years later, it's worked. 10 years ago, never mind Trump, Obama was making it clear that America's security priorities were no longer in alignment with Europe's. Europe at that point should have started to think, hang on a minute, we're going to have to start. And they didn't. And then Trump's first term, where even NATO looked shaky, they just thought to themselves, oh, let's get him through this, and just gritted their teeth and waited for the end of his term and thought they got away with it. Like, how many red flags did we need?
Although, not to play devil's advocate a little bit, I think the situation 10 years ago was quite different. Like, there was the annexation of Crimea, but I think it would have been difficult for European leaders to sell the idea of more military spending 10 years ago.
It's still difficult now, otherwise we'd be doing much more of it. But nonetheless, European leaders should have realised that thinking long term.
But they don't.
And the EU does. The EU does.
No, the EU does, but the individual countries do not.
Well, no, because you think it's the next election. But the EU itself should have been providing some leadership on this. It's secure. I mean, they've been putting in things, ironically, to deal with tech giants. They've been doing that quite successfully. That's all long-term thinking. I don't know why they didn't think that America might be a bit flaky in the future, particularly after Trump's first term.
I guess
either way, we have been bitten on the arse by the fact that we are utterly reliant on the United States. We might, if certain countries can avoid voting in Putin puppets like France and the UK in the next few years, we might in 10 years' time be in a much better position.
I think this year's been actually quite good for EU independence, because prior to this, the world was still very reliant on oil and other key resources. And the thing that the EU doesn't have within its territory is oil for energy. But we found a massive lithium deposit in Serbia, and the locals are going a bit nuts about that, being like, you're not digging it up, even though it's worth trillions. And then they found this phosphorus rock in Norway, which has doubled the world's supply. And you're going, okay, so we can build batteries, we can make solar panels. If we can get fusion up and running within the next 10 to 20 years, we'll be energy independent. We've got steel within our borders. That means you can, in theory, run the whole of the EU successfully and have a defense policy that can cope with someone like Russia, who will probably still be using oil as their main source of energy. So I'm going, that's a massive change
in
this
10
year.
years' time. Have you seen their economy?
What, Russia?
Yeah, they'll be powering their factories with hamsters, mate.
God, I'm having so many debates with people about that, whether or not Russia goes still. I think they've got the economy the size of Spain, and they're twice the size of the United States.
Yeah,
that is absolutely ridiculous.
It's not. The GDP's artificial, because quite a lot of that productivity now is stuff they're sending to Ukraine to get blown up. Sometimes deliberately, like shells and bombs, and sometimes accidentally, like tanks.
I'll correct that. It was the size of Spain before the war. But then you talk about as Venezuela. When I was looking at the troop movements around Ukraine, by Russia, I was going, oh, okay, they're posturing. He cannot be stupid enough to think that he could send all his troops there and maintain control
All right,
of that
can I
land.
just stop you there, Alex?
Go
If
on.
ever you have to start a statement with Trump cannot be stupid enough, you need to stop yourself.
Well, I'd like to say that, but I know he is that stupid, and he probably will send troops into Venezuela. Like, if he's put this is the lesson I've learned. If generally these guys don't posture anymore, and he'll probably think, if I have a war and it's a quick war, I'll get a boost in the popularity ratings.
That's what he's thinking. I guarantee he is thinking 3-day special operation. Completely
Works so well for
oblivious
Putin.
to the last idiot who thought that. Right? I think that's what's happening.
They can
I think that's
go on, Madge. Go on, Madge.
Yeah, the Americans could pull it off. I think they did something similar in Iraq, didn't they? They just ran on Saddam's palace, and they did it fairly quickly as well. So I mean, the Americans could do it. The question is, would they? I don't know. He could be using it to try and force Maduro for diplomacy. I think he's done that move before, where he'll threaten quite aggressively, and then he'll try and force you to the negotiating table, and he'll give some sort of deal.
But Maduro does look like a bit of an arsehole. It looks like independent.
No, he's a knobhead. He's 100% he's a knobhead. He's one of the worst leaders out there. What he's done to that country is an abomination. Like, he's not a good person. No, 100%.
So does that mean that Trump is for once actually doing?
No.
No,
because if he is, he's going to have to go invade. He's going to have to go invade Saudi Arabia for a start. He's going to have to get rid of Netanyahu as well. He's going to have to get rid of some of the other Gulf states. He's going to have to go around, fighting a lot of countries.
It's more than
There's
that.
no argument.
If the problem is, like, it's like the Iraq situation. You can force, although that was, I would say, Madge, that wasn't really quick in terms of how long MAGA would put up with it, because it was still many months. But if you look at Iraq, what happened? We got rid of Saddam Hussein and we just destabilized the country. Well, the same thing will happen there. There's not going to be a smooth transition of power to a democratic government in Venezuela, because Maduro isn't just a person, he's a whole regime. His regime, even if he flees, if he books off into exile, his regime will take some parts of the country. They'll take control there. Other people will take control somewhere else. It'll be a right old mess.
You actually think it's that separated, that the
It
person
should be
who
chaos.
is arguably rightfully elected, female president, isn't it? I can't think of what her name is.
Oh yeah, Maduro's not the rightful leader,
No.
but what I'm
But
saying
there is
is
a female electee who is in the United States.
Yeah, she won't have control of Venezuela.
You don't think she'll be able to go in
If
with an
Maduro
administration?
pisses off, she will not have control of Venezuela. Maduro's people will take control of like certain parts of it, particularly the where some of the mines and things like that are, oil fields maybe. They've got military.
Yeah.
Think of South Vietnam.
Yeah, give that one to the Americans. That'll scare the fuck out.
Don't worry, we'll put our guy in charge, and he'll do everything as we want. But we'll
Trump
see how long that
commander in
lasts.
chief. God of Venezuela. Yeah, it's true. I mean, it's a small country, but then so is Vietnam. But then that was the opposite side of the world, which means that the logistics are completely different to something that's arguably on America's doorstep.
There was a point where people thought we were going to fight. America was going to fight North Korea. When Trump was calling him Rocket Man, and he goes, "My button's bigger than yours," and all of that stuff. So I mean, this is a bit more toxic with the Navy, but being around, the blockade and things like that. But people thought they were very close to battling North Korea, but it never happened because they were trying to force into the table and make it like, I've got an agreement with this guy who no one's got an agreement with before. That's what they're trying to spin as.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about Trump, he seems to me to be someone who doesn't see profit in war. He sees peace as being more profitable. But at the moment, like, he's not really deciding a lot, is he? Like, this is coming from Republican hawks who want the oil.
Yeah.
This week, they were pointing out all the times where Trump is being asked questions about basics, and he's just having to say, I don't know that. He didn't even know one of his own senior appointments this week or a couple of weeks ago. He said, I just relied on advice from so-and-so. I don't know who they are.
In the same way as Bush didn't benefit from the Iraq war, Halliburton did. In the long term, he didn't benefit from that.
No, I agree. Yeah. I think that short bump was the thing that got him over the line to be.
And that's what Trump is. That's what Trump is hoping to. I believe what he'll do is he'll carry out airstrikes, hoping that will work. It probably won't work, and then I don't see U.S. troops going in there because it'd be like Vietnam or Afghanistan. But I think they'll carry out a number of airstrikes, and then he'll claim some sort of victory, hoping that Maduro will leave. Because I don't think he's going to be able to negotiate If he negotiates something, that would be a huge boost for Trump, because now he said, look, we got regime change without firing a shot.
I don't think he'll get regime change. He'll get some sort of agreement with maybe the oil or something like that. Maybe get like a cut price, or maybe American companies can go in to like in a limited
that's
amount.
what they want.
Yeah, that's what he wants. Like he wants the photo op to say, I've done something no one's ever done before, and it's going to be complete nonsense.
I don't see it helping his base though. I think they're so pissed off with the inflation, the tariffs, and the Epstein stuff. I think the Epstein stuff has absolutely cut through to MAGA, which is wild. It actually took something of that level. I don't even think the full story's out.
I don't think his position's recoverable. I don't think he can recover. I think he's going to try to, and these are some of the things he's going to do to distract. But I think it's impossible for him to get back, any sense of popularity, because there's nothing to celebrate over there.
Yeah.
It's interesting as well to slightly support that as well. Marjorie Taylor Greene has obviously jumped ship. And then he sent that tweet about her this week on his social. No, sorry. He sent a tweet about her this year, which was one of the funniest tweets I've ever seen, calling her an insane lady and calling him up all the time. I'm not disagreeing, but from one insane person to another to have that conversation.
It takes one to know one.
Yeah, it takes one to know one. I think there's an element within US politics where he's done, because all the Republicans are going, it's all good and well you being in power now, but we've got to think about the next person, and we've already got to start prepping. And it's a similar problem that you were saying with the European states. They're very short term, and they have to be. As soon as like the midterm, as soon as like he got into power, the Democrats are already starting to prep for that next round of elections for the midterms. Like they have to, because you've got to build up a name within your community, which can take a year to 2 years. And I think there's an element of Trump losing his base and his Republican supporters, because they're going to have to find a new leader to run against whoever runs on the Democratic side. And so there's a lame duck built in within that. That's why Marjorie Taylor Greene's jumped ship and gone centrist and tried to sound sensible, because she's obviously going to run for president. That's what she wants. She wants to be the first Republican female president in history.
I mean, Turning Point USA have already said, well, basically Erica Kirk has already said that they're backing Vance. The MAGA
no shock. Did you see the pictures of her hugging him on stage?
Yeah.
I showed that to my partner, who was just like, if someone did that to you, I would not be happy with them. And it was that squeeze on the bicep that she did. It was so weird to do that in public. But the whole thing with her this year has been absolutely bizarre. Like, I mean, obviously, the shooting of her husband in public, tragic. And then I didn't realize this till someone else pointed it out. When she's doing the filming of her and her dead husband and holding his hand, she's got someone else to film her doing that. Did you guys twig that?
They do that all the time, though. But she went
into
dead
bodies. Who does that? That's not normal.
MAGA is not normal. They got really irate last year when people kept calling them weird, and that was putting it mildly.
I think there's other levels of weird. I really do. I think you could, because I think we've had this thing of, it can't get any worse. It fucking can. It really can continue to get worse. And seeing someone film that's a weird photo op. And her crying, the lack of it. I know we're sort of going off on a tangent from normal politics, but if she's backing Vance, that's quite a big support ticket for him. And I know he's big on the podcast circuits. There's Theo Vaughn, there's Joe Rogan. They'll all house him and bring him on.
Yeah.
So having Erica Kirk's channel as well is massive. So, I mean, that's quite concerning if he's going to be the next runner.
I don't know, because although I was saying, to my own viewers, I don't know who would be. I don't know what's worse. I think best thing is actually if Trump does rumble on for the whole term, clearly out of touch, and just poisons the entire project. JD Vance, I'm not sure, so he won't have that same level of cult-like control. He doesn't have the charisma, but he's got a functioning brain. So I don't know what's more dangerous. Whereas I think if Trump rumbles on for the rest of the term, JD Vance, a bit like Kamala Harris was sort of effectively poisoned by too close association with Biden, with the inflation, then JD Vance could cop for the same.
What did the chief of staff say about the Trump admin, though? Because I know one thing she said about she got caught. I think. Oh, she said she said Trump's an alcoholic.
Well, no, she said he had an alcoholic personality, which he's admitted to.
Yeah,
he knows he does. That's why he doesn't drink.
That's why he doesn't drink. But then she said Vance was a conspiracy theorist.
Yeah.
Which is pretty wild as a damnation from the inside of MAGA. But it sounds like they're splitting. And then Dan Bongino, the deputy head of the FBI, said he's quitting this week, just as the Epstein files are being released.
Yeah,
I mean, he had a car crash when he said all that stuff about the videotape.
There's a video of him. No, not the actual act, but the entire MCC Bay. There was only one camera.
Deputy Director Dan Bongino of the FBI told us there was only one camera in the special housing unit. But that's not true. There were at least 2 cameras recording and 9 other cameras that were working but not recording due to a malfunction only days earlier. That the footage we were gonna get showed there was no one there but Epstein.
You're gonna see there's no one there but him. Right. There's just nobody there. So I say to people all the time, if you have a tip, let us know. But there's no DNA, there's no audio, there's no fingerprints, there's no suspects, there's no accomplices, there's no tips, there is nothing.
The footage just directly debunks this. There are several people who appear in the footage the FBI released, and actually one even appears after lockdown walking up the stairs. The government's report at first called this laundry, but independent experts agreed, according to one analysis by CBS.
At 10:38 p.m., the report says someone, probably Noel, carries a bundle of bedding or clothing up the stairs. It's a rare instance the video does catch movement on the stairs, but barely. Let's see that zoomed in and in slow motion again. Several of the video forensic experts we spoke with were skeptical about the report's conclusion and thought that the video could be showing an inmate walking up the stairs. Authorities say this was the last time anyone approached his cell block until his body was discovered the next morning. Again, while the video does not contradict that, experts who viewed the video say the limited field of view makes it impossible to definitively conclude that no one used those stairs in that time period.
We are working on cleaning it up to make sure you have an enhanced, and we're going to give the original so you don't think there were any shenanigans.
So yeah, I don't think I need to explain why this is one of the most brazen lies. We were told we'd be given a modified and the original footage. Instead, what we got are 2 modified videos because both were edited in Premiere Pro. Now, it isn't clear exactly what was edited, but expert forensic analysts who spoke to Wired said the footage wouldn't stand up in court, had 1 minute, no wait, actually 3 minutes missing, and now there are reports that the DOJ has the full footage, but just hasn't released it.
Oh, we're going to show you the raw footage and we'll show you an edited footage, and we'll make it really clear which one's which. They didn't do. He said it showed the cell, which it didn't. It showed clearly that no one was going in there, which it didn't. And it showed someone at 10:30 at night going up the stairs and they're wearing a jumpsuit because it's orange. And you're going, no one should be walking around. The guards falsified everything and the guards were asleep at the same time. And they doctored stuff and they moved the body when you're not meant to. You're meant to leave the body as is. So then the FBI and the police are meant to come in. The whole thing was a complete car crash. The Epstein files are coming out this week. He's quit. You're like, wow. He's obviously seen something within those files and gone, I don't want anything to do with this. I'm not going to be tarnished because I'm the deputy head and Kash Patel can take it all.
Yeah, he was certainly seeing some of it because earlier this year, they seconded 1,000 FBI agents to go through it all, crossing out any reference to Trump.
1,000?
There's 1,000 FBI agents seconded to look for, well, obviously they didn't publicly say that that was what they were doing, looking for like references to Trump, but that's what they were doing. Because they knew back then they were probably going to have to get them released at some point, right? He knows it's a big thing for his base. They're all about the conspiracy theory. The Epstein is a real conspiracy. So they're not going to let that go.
Well, that's been the wilder thing this year with the whole... It's clear that a bunch of conspiracy theorists have gone into power, and they've also amplified conspiracy theories and theorists within America over this point, and they've piled in to back Trump. But then they're eating themselves. Like when Charlie Kirk got shot, I think there was a book released within like less than 12 to 24 hours on Amazon on the true facts of the shooting of Charlie Kirk, which sent MAGA into a complete fucking spin. But then they started analyzing the footage and they were making claims about Charlie Kirk's mates all being involved because they acted strange and odd in their reaction to Charlie Kirk being shot. It's like, of course you would. It's really panicky and it's freaky. Go on.
But it's like the problem for reform. Reform attract the worst types of people, and then they end up in a mess because they have the worst type of people in reform. So and this, I think, is the way reform are going to go as well. Farage will end up being removed in some way because he engaged in some sort of conspiracy theory, and while welcoming on conspiracy theorists.
Well,
it happened with the anti-vax guy, didn't it? So they had the anti-vax guy at their big conference thing.
Yeah.
And then the guy said loads of anti-vax stuff. And then the media like, why are you platforming anti-vax people? And it's like, no, we're not doing that. That's not our policy. And it's like, why was he there then? You gave him the stage. What were you doing?
Lee Anderson was trying to defend it this week.
Was he?
Yeah, he was saying, I've had all my jabs. I believe in it. And he realized, well, we better, backpedal a bit.
Because the problem is this is what I mean. Like, it can look like the Conservatives are just aping Reform UK, but they're both just aping Trump. But not everything is the same here as it is in America, so it doesn't always work. The other thing as well. So talking about the getting rid of Farage, because at the moment you would say, well, you can't get rid of Farage because he owns the bloody thing as a business thing. But did you notice when Labour, when Steve Reid announced this review into like foreign fund and stuff like that, one of the things they're going to look at is how political parties are constituted and regulated. And you think, well, there's only one political party that's not constituted normally, isn't there? So, and the thing, and because you think to yourself, why does it need to be an independent review? It's not like a big public inquiry. It's not going to go on for years. It's 4 months. What if all it is it's going to say, so where are our weaknesses? So because it's going to put it in the elections bill, right? You don't need an independent review for that. It's a government thing. You just set some civil servants on it, sort us out, will you? Independent, so that, because Labour obviously know they're going to have to put something in the elections bill that some people are not going to like the Conservatives and Reform UK, for example. And they don't want to be accused of like a political witch hunt, because I think that's what's coming, because what else can it mean looking at how political parties are constituted? There's no problem with the way other political parties are constituted. Regulated maybe, but not constituted.
Farage will have to change his party.
I think that's what may well be coming.
But then he won't want to do that, because then he could be removed.
Yeah.
Oh, the joy of that.
But also, it's not even being removed. The reason he did Brexit Party and Reform UK like he did is because UKIP was a more normally constituted political party, and he got sick of the infighting. So it's not even just about the leader. You'll have a whole strata of elected positions in committees and stuff like that. At the moment, he just appoints them. But if they have to be properly elected and stuff like that, it could end up with it could end up being like herding cats, just like it was in UKIP.
There's also another problem. I read a report about Wales, and it seems that Farage wants to appoint the candidates for the Senate elections next year, but the local people want something different. They want to select their own candidates, but Farage is not going to go along with that. So there's a potential row brewing there for Wales.
Yeah, I mean, they had Nathan Gill, so I would not let Farage pick candidates, because he picked good old Nathan, didn't he?
Well, it's yeah. Yeah.
That did actually lead to the best gag I've heard in PMQs for ages there.
Oh yeah, I did see that.
Starmer's one. That was proper quality.
What did he say?
He said Nigel Farage wasn't in there at the time. There were a couple of comments towards it, but he wasn't in there. And he said, if mysterious men from the East come bearing gifts, next time call the police.
To those in reform, if mysterious men from the East appear bearing gifts, this time report it to the police.
Well, two things to that. Farage is a conspiracy theorist, which doesn't get talked enough about on media. He doesn't believe in climate change. He didn't believe Trump was talking about injecting bleach. He's proposed anti-Semitic tropes on LBC when he was a radio presenter, which is something else that's quite wild that no one brings up. They talk about it at school, but no one goes, well, he said stuff when he was on LBC. So that seems to be a continuing pattern, that the journalists are just being shit about. He was in the Bilderberg Group movie. Did you know that? He had a little cameo in there about the Bilderberg Group, like, and his conspiracies. He said that the banks and the politicians go hand in hand. Maybe we can agree with that, maybe not. He's talked about the WHO.
Yeah, but when he says that, though, it's like globalists. It's all code for anything to do with banks or globalism is code for Jews.
Yeah.
For these people.
And of course, Brexit is one of the biggest conspiracy theorists or theories that the EU was evil.
Yeah.
You look at all of that. He's a full-blown conspiracy theorist, and it does not get talked about enough on the in the media. I think Andrew Marr once pulled him up, and he had a meltdown over it, which was quite funny.
I believe that worrying about global warming is the stupidest thing in human history.
I believe that if we decide in this country to tax ourselves to the hilt, to put hundreds of thousands of people out of work in manufacturing industries, given that we produce less than 2% of global CO2, that isn't terribly intelligent. But as I say, here we are with one of the biggest changes in politics that's ever occurred, and you're not even interested.
Do you still
What's wrong with the BBC?
Do you still want to
What is wrong with the BBC?
Do you still want to roll back gun controls and reintroduce handguns to this country?
This sums it up. Do you know, I've been going around the country speaking at pack rallies every night, and do you know who's not there? The BBC. And from this line of questioning now, I can see why.
Do you still?
You're just not interested, are you?
Do you still feel uncomfortable with foreign languages being spoken on?
That's what I've done a video for this tomorrow as well. Like, this is what I want them to do. Like, there's been so many scandals and controversies around Farage over the years, but he just dodges them. What I want is for the media to put them all together and present them all as like a compendium, because the sheer volume of them is quite remarkable.
I put 20 minutes of him saying racist stuff, and I did another video of him talking pro-Russia points, which was 7 minutes. But it was also interesting because David Coburn, who is the biggest grifter from UKIP and the Brexit Party, we slightly brought him up at the beginning. I didn't get a chance to bring it up. I've just done a video where I've synced what David Coburn's saying, what Nathan Gill's saying, and Farage is saying. It's all the same, except one of them at the time is being paid to say Russian lies, and the other two,
we don't.
And then the wilder thing that I still can't get over, and I should, is David Coburn, after railing against the EU, where does he live now? Do you guys know?
France.
France.
He lives in France.
Oh, in the Chateau, yeah.
Under EU rules that he hates.
Do you know what the best thing is?
Andrew Neil, yeah, as well.
Do you remember our last EU parliamentary elections, 2019? I shit you not, the address given for one of our Brexit Party candidates was in France. I'm nowhere near France, by the way. I am 200 miles away. I shit you not, that was their official residency. They weren't even living in the area.
They never believed any of it. They're just grifters.
They are.
A lot of them.
Their reason for hating the EU, some of them might just hate foreigners, but their main reason, the same reason for Trump hating the EU, it's not because it's weak, it's because it's strong. It's because it's very difficult to corrupt the EU. There are too many people holding the levers of power. Whereas in an individual country, you've got like 3 or 4 people maybe that are really influential. You can get them on side, then you've got that country, right? EU, very difficult.
What came out in the COVID report, the problem with the UK is that to get anything done, you need the permission of the Prime Minister. Everything's far too complicated in the UK and in modern life to have one person giving out all instructions.
Yes,
that's why you try. Yeah, that's why you try and play tennis with Boris Johnson.
Another Russian link, yes. Well, there was a report, I think, in Byline Times this week suggesting that this whole thing that Starmer's doing with Farage is a big trap.
It will be. It's 100%. Like I said, there's no practical reason for it to be an independent review unless you know what, because they announced this election, some of the things that we're going to be doing back in June, July, something like that. So they'll have been looking at this over the last few months, and they'll have been doing their own reviews, right? And they'll be coming out with some stuff, right? We need to put this in the elections bill. Could look like it's an attack on Reform UK. I think that's why it's been made as an independent thing. Because I can, why would it be independent? It's just supposed to be a review to inform government legislation. You don't need it to be independent.
No, you don't. That's interesting.
Unless there's a real political angle to it.
But if they come out with a recommendation, like then the government will have to implement it, no?
Well, they don't have to, but they want to. That's what I'm thinking. They want to. They know what's going to come up with. They even made a big song and dance about the person, this Rycroft fella, who's like got cross-party support. It's not one of our people, widely respected. They really went to town on the idea that this is at arm's length from them. So whatever it comes out with is not them. And there's a reason for that. And that reason must be because they already know what it's going to come out with. And it's going to come out with some recommendations that they want to put in the elections bill. But maybe the right-wing press would otherwise go, oh, this is a Labour stitch-up. They can't win the election, so now they're trying to rig it.
Classic Trump, right? On that note, thank you all. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Not too merry.
Bah, humbug.
Tune in next week for another exciting story from the files of Police Squad.
Phil, you got a choice for your Christmas Day speech: Donald Trump or Elon Musk. To do, instead of King's speech, you've got Trump or Musk. Who do you pick to do the speech to the UK?
100% Trump, because then the UK can see what a fucking moron he is, and then maybe think twice about voting for Farage. You cannot listen to Trump for more than 5 minutes and think he's a serious person. I challenge people quite frequently. Listen, better than listening to him, is to get an exact transcript of what he says and try and read it. So I want more of the British public being introduced to exactly who Donald Trump is, because they've got this sort of airy-fairy idea of him. I want them to listen to him, listen to what he says.
Okay, Madge, you're going to give an IQ boost to someone for one day. Do you give it to Alex Jones or Tucker Carlson?
What's the boost? How much is the boost by?
We'll give him an IQ of 155.
Oh, it's Alex Jones. The conspiracy theorists would be so much better. I don't even know what he could come up with a higher IQ. Then nothing beats they're putting chemicals in the water to turn the frogs gay. Nothing can beat that. So yeah, I'd give it to Alex Jones. I want to see what he comes up with.
Actual evidence-based conspiracy theory.
Yeah. Thinking recently, it's been a long time since I've seen a chemtrails thing, and then something came up on Twitter doing it again, because that seems like old hat now. It seems quite pedestrian.
Some people were burning 5G masts recently as well.
Again,
they've started burning them again. Yeah.
And nature is healing.
Okay, Max.
Maybe the DUP can do that like next year or something. Like, instead of piling up pallets, just pile up 5G masts.
Which do you want to have revelations over? This is your Christmas present, and you can only have one, and the other one will never come to fruition. UFOs or Epstein?
I prefer UFOs.
Oh, well, all the research suggests if it does come out and it is true, then civilization collapses.
We've had a good run.
I, for one, welcome our new alien overlord.
Ken Brockman.
And if the aliens need a news host,
it's either going to be wonderful or dystopia.
It's not going to be wonderful. They're going to look at us like this is easy. They're going to probably take over. There's no way the aliens are like, what a nice group of people. No.
Yeah, no. On that note, thank you guys.
Bye bye. Merry Christmas.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.